Hi, my name is Maddie. I'm the owner of Maddie Stitches. This is me attempting to get back into my YouTube channel. I've been running a home embroidery, machine embroidery business for about 3 years. And so this is going to be my tip. This is my assessment of the different machines I've had. And if you're watching this, it's probably because you're thinking about buying your first machine, thinking about starting a business like this. And you just want some assistance on what machine to get. You want to get an idea of how they run, how capable you will be of running them, all those things. And I will try to pack all my other tips as well into this video. The thing about me is that I've only ever used Brother brand machines. I honestly kind of bought the first one on a whim. I saw a different person who was running a business using the same machine, so I just bought the exact machine they had. I really cannot tell you like, oh, this is the machine you should buy if you're a first-time user. I can only tell you of the machines that I have, which one I recommend. I'm just going to tell you my experience with these, and hopefully that will be a data point in the research you're doing. We are starting with the Brother PE800. I've had, I can't remember, either 3 or 4 of these in the business lifetime. This is the first machine I bought, not this specific one, but a Brother PE800. And when I bought it in May of 2020, I think it was $1,000 on Amazon. The prices do fluctuate. People will tell you not to buy them on Amazon because you don't get the warranty, but I actually did get the warranty, so we'll get into that. I have heard people say it is just better to buy directly from a dealership. Again, never done it. I believe Brother has one more cheaper machine. I've never used it. That is more like $500, $600, depending on when you're looking. This is just like one above that, is my understanding. The biggest hoops it can do are 5x7s, which was perfect for me. I didn't plan to make any bigger designs than that. And it's a single needle, which means every color has to be separately threaded each time you're switching colors. My second machine is an NQ1600E from Brother as well. This machine, I'm pretty sure retail goes for like $1,600, but I actually got this used. Basically, my other machine, the PE800, completely died, my original one, and I was desperate. I needed a new machine stat, and I went on Facebook, and very fortunately, someone was selling one of these that they had barely used. I think it had like a couple thousand stitches on it, and that's it. She had barely used it, so I got this essentially new at a discounted price. I can't remember. I also think I spent maybe $1,000 or $1,200 on it, so I got like $400 off, which was really nice. This is just a step up above the PE800, and you can tell there's actually a huge difference between this machine, because this machine, which I've had as long as those other ones almost, holds up way better. It chugs along. It does not make as many mistakes. It is not bothered by as many problems, and it just works better. And it's like way quieter randomly. Like, honestly, the only difference is that it's longer, so I believe it can do bigger designs. Again, I never need to, so I actually don't know how bigger it gets. It's quieter, but it's also slower, but not by a lot. But like, it takes an extra 3 or 4 minutes on this one than it does on that one. If I had felt very confident at the time and knew exactly where the business was going, this is the one I would have bought, because it is going to last much longer. It has way less mistakes, and it was less of an adjustment to learn. I can already tell this would have been better for a beginner. But again, it's like 30% more the price. And so it's higher commitment. It's higher commitment. You'd have to be like, okay, I'm investing $1,600 in this. It's got to go somewhere. One thing about this machine is that in its years of use, it has lost its ability to do very fine detail, specifically numbers and letters, like really tiny numbers and letters. I have a design that used to have numbers and it was written on the train, and it has lost its function to do that. It gets really confused. The stitching is super unclear, and despite all my troubleshooting, despite being serviced all the time, it no longer can do that. Finally, my third type of machine is this multi-needle. It's also Brother. It's a PR620. They don't sell these anymore because this machine is like 14 years old. I also got this off Facebook Marketplace. A woman used to have a ton of embroidery machines. She died. And so this was her daughter selling it. So her daughter honestly didn't have a lot of information when she gave it to me. So it felt very risky. For example, I'm like, when was this last serviced? She had no idea. But she did say, my mom took good care of her machines, which it's like, okay, but this machine, or the similar machines that they're selling right now, as this is a discontinued, is probably $10,000, and I got it for $3,000. I also bought the cart that goes along with it. She didn't have one, so I bought a new one off eBay. That was $600, and then this machine cost way more to get serviced, which it really needed, and so that was $400. So $3,000 to buy it, $1,000 for its upkeep and maintenance. I brought it home. I was able to get it to work. It was really intimidating. Learning how to thread this felt really scary. Now it's just easy. But I pretty much immediately started having problems with it. Specifically, it was getting completely off the path, because an embroidery machine has a digital file. it knows exactly where the needle's supposed to go, and when it gets confused, it goes off the path, and then you lose a sweatshirt because it's almost impossible to get it right back where it started. So that was the problem this machine was having. I didn't use it for a long time because of that. Finally decided to go get it serviced, which is a whole trip. I had to go to a different place than I usually do for those because my normal people don't like doing multi-needle, they only do single needle. Took this in, like I said, cost $300, $400 to service, but now it is working perfectly and I've had no problems. And things that would trip up those machines does not trip up this machine. When there's like a spare thread in the way that gets caught in the needle, it just cuts right through it, no problem. I really like how you can use these dials to adjust the tension like very finely. And if you have designs that are 6 colors or less, this is so perfect. You can spit out things so quickly with very little work on your end. Now what makes this machine superior to a single needle is because it can do 6 different colors at a time. So up here it has all those colors threaded up, which the threading process is way more elaborate, takes way more time than the other machines. But once it's threaded, you can run multiple sweatshirts through this without having to change the thread. The only thing you'd have to change is the bobbin, and the bobbin is way more conveniently located so that I don't have to unhoop the sweatshirt or take it off the frame at all, because this is where I can change the bobbin. This is where we get into somewhat boring story time, but could be helpful for you about each of my machines and some tips. Like I said, I bought this machine off Amazon. It came within a week. I set it up and I immediately had problems. And the thing is, you're probably gonna set it up and immediately have problems too, especially if you don't really have machining experience, just because they're tricky to use and they just require endless troubleshooting. But things were actually totally built against me because the thing that was wrong with the machine, what was actually wrong with my machine wasn't the machine itself, but my bobbin case. I spent probably 2 months with this machine trying to make it work, trying to fix the issue where basically bobbin thread was showing on the top, regardless of how much I adjusted the tension here. And what I ultimately had to do, despite in the manual saying, do not ever do this, was adjust the tension of the actual bobbin case, which you do by turning this screw right here. So you can imagine how frustrating that is, that my machine came automatically working against me and the rule specifically said never change this, but as soon as I did it, it worked again. So this is what people kind of mean about Brothers being cheap. Yeah, so the first one I bought in May 2020, and by December 2020, it broke. It literally went brain dead. When it was plugged in, it wouldn't turn on anymore. It happened all of a sudden. It wasn't like a power surge or anything. And when I took it into a dealership, they tried to fix it. They couldn't. Basically, the power thing had been completely fried. They had me prove my purchase through Amazon. They're saying, hopefully we can get the warranty to work out for you. And maybe I was just lucky, but they did indeed replace my machine. But that was like a 3-month process. So the old one that doesn't work, I can't remember what I did with it. I think I left it at the shop. They sent me a completely new one. And like I said, during that meantime, I got the NQ 1600. The thing about this machine is that because it is cheap, it is so sensitive. A single thread trips it up, the needle breaks. A single thing is blocking it and it just gets off course. The fabric naturally is going to fall in the way, whereas on my multi-needle, the fabric is purposely displayed in a way that it will never get in the way of your needle. But for here, I need to use like those clips. Lint causes tension issues all the time. I have to shake out the lint, but then I also have to be adjusting the tension all the time on both the bobbin and the upper thread. I've been able to solve pretty much every issue I've ever had with this machine, but that took literally 2 days sometimes, 2 whole days just trying to troubleshoot and solve it, looking up endless videos, trying multiple different things, ruining many sweatshirts. So even though everything's been solved, it hasn't come without a cost. The last thing you need to consider when it comes to getting a single needle versus a multi-needle is that there is a difference in the time you'll spend trimming and processing finished product. So what I mean is that on my single needles, they come off like this. They've got a bunch of loose threads, things going all over. This one's actually not as bad as some other ones. There's some ones that are truly crazy. And then on the inside, they have this problem too. They have all these threads going across. I need to trim those. I can't send this to a customer because things can so easily get caught. So I want to trim all those. Not to mention trimming and stabilize it, but you gotta do that either way. Whereas my multi-needle has this ability to trim things very well. So this is how it came right off the machine, okay? You can barely even see anything. There's like one thread I need to trim here, and there's a little one I need to trim there. And on the inside, I don't have to trim a single thing because it naturally trims itself, okay? Just the stabilizer I need to cut off, but you guys, I used to spend hours of my life trimming sweatshirts. I used to pay people just to trim sweatshirts. With this, it takes me maybe a minute tops on each one. And the single needle is supposed to do some trimming on its own, but mine stopped doing that. All through the machines I've ever had, single needles, they stopped doing that really early on in the process. Whereas my 14-year-old machine, she does it perfectly. So here's my final conclusion. If you are someone who wants to start a business and you're wondering what machine to get, if I had all the foresight of where this was going to go in the beginning, I would have just bought even a brand new Innovis NQ1600E brother machine. It's more intuitive, it doesn't mess up as much, it's not as glitchy. Now, if I truly know where it was going, and if I had the money for it at the time, I would have gotten a multi-needle. I don't really have regrets about not doing it. If anything, I guess I just wish I'd gotten a multi-needle sooner. You know, instead of buying all these other single needle machines, I wish I just committed to the multi-needle sooner. But that's a hard decision to make. Even paying $3,000 was a really hard decision to make, because I was like, I could get like 3 other machines for that price, you know? It's funny because I feel like I still recommend the 800, but after recording this entire video and listing all the things wrong with it, including the fact that my first one came completely screwed up and then died like 6 months later, maybe I don't recommend ever getting the Brother PE800, which is funny because I still use it to this day. Okay, I hope this was helpful. If you have questions, I can try to answer them. Thanks, guys.